I just want you guys to know how much I appreciate you being here, because if it wasn't for you guys, this wouldn't happen. And I'm just going to tell you a little bit about myself. Let me read my notes really quick. I'd like to dedicate this. Are you guys running? Are we live? Okay, awesome. So I'd like to dedicate this day to my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. He saved my soul. He is my life. I'd like to dedicate it to my mom and dad and to my bride, my wife Brenda. If it wasn't for her, I wouldn't be here today. I can just honestly say that. I love that girl. She rocks. And we're just going to open with a word of prayer, and then I'll tell you a little bit about who I am and what we're trying to accomplish today. And like I said, thank you so much. No judgment, only love. I love you guys, and God loves you, and He wants you to have an amazing, phenomenal marriage. And we're going to be sharing some shifts that you can make to unlock your spouse's hearts. So let's pray. Our God and our Father, we thank you for this day. Thank you for your love for us. Thank you for creating marriage. And we just pray for help that we might see your divine design. Just pray that every word that's spoken would be guided by thy Holy Spirit, and we pray for blessing from thee. Whatever blessing there is, Lord, it's going to come from thee. We just commit this time to thee in Jesus' mighty name. Amen. So this is actually an accident. It's funny how things in life happen. This is not a test. We were writing yesterday in my shop to get all set up, and I didn't put not on there. I wrote this is a test because I was testing it out to see how it would look. And I looked at that and I said, you know what? That's really what this is all about. When I put the word not in there, this is not a test. There's no dry run. This is for reals. And I know so many people, so many couples that wish, like, when the kids leave, we'll put things together. When we have kids, it'll be better. Let's just commit, each one of us. Let's make today a masterpiece. We're not going to get somewhere else, and we're all going home to glory. I get that. Let's make today wonderful. Let's make where we are amazing, okay? This is not a test. My name's Matthew, and I put in the branding, Mr. Hope Richardshagen, because my spiritual gift is to encourage, to empower, equip, and encourage other people. And that's what I would like to do today. That's my goal. I've been married for 27 years to my high school sweetheart. I never had another girlfriend. She never had another boyfriend. We dated for 4 years, 1 month, and 12 days. We got married. We've been married for 27 years. And it's not all, marriage is amazing, okay? We're human. Welcome. No, that's quite all right. We're just getting started. You can grab, there's some name tags right outside that door. Sorry, we got them out the other way. Good morning. I'm Matt. Jasmine. It's good seeing you. Yeah, just grab, their name tags are right outside that door. Grab your name tags. Thank you, Mary. Thanks for helping them. Welcome. And I totally lost where I was. That's okay. Yeah, I've been married for, it's not all gravy. I'm not standing up here telling you I'm perfect and this is how you should be. I'm sharing my struggles and our struggles and what I've learned through all the pain and all the sorrow and all the joy to share with you. Look, this is how to make a marriage better. Everything I'm going to share is straight out of the Bible. I'm going to give you verses. Everything I'm going to share with you is practical that I've used in my life. Because some people say, well, you should do this. You should only eat grapefruits for 3 months and then you'll feel better. Like, really? Did you really do that? No, but you should do that. No, we're not going to do anything like that. Everything that we're sharing is proven, practical. Good morning. Woo! The name tags are right outside that door. That is awesome. It's so good having you. No, it's perfect. It's perfect. Thank you, Mary. Okay. So one of the things that I want you to think about today, all of us think systemic thoughts. We all think three ways: intrinsically, extrinsically, and systemically. Okay? Intrinsic thoughts are what I'm going to do, what it has to do with me. Extrinsic thoughts are like somebody says you should empty the trash. So I feel like, well, I should do that for them. Okay? Systemic thoughts are either right or wrong, black or white, left or right. There's no grays. No gradations. It's all this way, okay? When we think systemically, we all do it, I do it, everybody in this room does it. When we think systemically, what happens is we don't allow new information to come in. We have to be right based on what we already know. And what I would just encourage you, I'm going to share some stuff today that very well might be new. It might step on your toes. Just judge it before the Lord. I'm not, just weigh it before the Lord, but be willing to do that if you would, okay? Now, there are things that I'm going to share that you're not going to agree with. You may not agree with. Pick the flowers and leave the weeds. Okay? So if I share something and you say, wow, that could be really helpful in my marriage. I share something else and you're like, that guy is crazy. Don't throw the rest of it away. Seriously. Because that's how our brains work. Well, he said this. Everything he shared is wrong. Don't just stay with me in the present. Okay? Just right now, pick the flowers, leave the weeds. And then, so I already talked about systemic thoughts. One thing I'd like to ask of you as we go through this, like I said, we're going through this together. Do me a favor and don't elbow your spouse. Hey, honey, you should get this. This is for you. What happens is we always see, and I appreciate your smiles, we always see what we're looking for. If you're here for what your spouse is going to learn, you're going to be a little bit disappointed probably. If you're here for what you can learn, I trust it's going to be a blessing. So just take a deep breath and say, okay, what is Matt saying to me? What is the Lord saying to me? How can I apply this? How can I make this shift? How can I make it better? Because it's up to, at the end of the day, and we're going to talk about this as we go through the foundation here of goodwill, at the end of the day, it's up to me. It's my relationship is my responsibility. Good morning. It's so good seeing you guys. We just got started. So, no, it's quite all right. So there's name tags right outside that door. Mary's going to help you, and you guys can grab a seat. Yeah. Love them, love them, love them, love them, love them. So if you guys have a page, everybody doesn't have a page. Can I steal yours, Victoria? Could you grab a couple more of these, Mary? We didn't get them brought. I didn't get them. Good morning. Christopher, I'm Matt. It's a pleasure meeting you, sir. Lacey.
You want me to go ask Emily for some more, or what?
No, there's enough out there.
Oh, bring them in for Matt.
Yeah, if you wouldn't mind. Okay, yeah, if you could grab a couple. I don't know what I did. Okay, so the first thing we're going to talk about today is goodwill. And I actually, if I would have been totally on the ball, and I just want you guys to know, this is not my strong suit. I'm a speaker, I'm an author, I'm a coach. I am not a putter-togetherer. So whatever, if I did anything, my objective is you'd be like, wow, the Lord is really amazing. Look at what He used Matt to do. Because it's not me. This is not my strong suit. Organizing things, writing emails, getting everybody organized. It is, thank you, Mary. Yeah, I'll just have them up here. That's not my strong suit. So, the first thing we're going to be talking about is goodwill. It's on the bottom, and I put it down there because it's the foundation. Morning, sweetheart. It is the foundation of our marriage. Just like the foundation of this building holds the building up, our marriage holds our lives up. And if you don't have a good foundation, you're going to struggle with all the rest of this stuff. Now, I've spent 21 years studying how couples interact, watching husbands and wives under stressful situations. I'm an in-home cleaning professional, and I tell people this is how much it's going to cost. This is going to cost $800. And you get to watch the husbands and wives like, why did you hire this guy? Do you really want to do this? You get to see the interaction, see how the couple works. And the thing is, just like the foundation of this building, your goodwill is the foundation of your relationship. Okay? And everything, I'm going to keep coming back to these bottom two things over and over and over as we go through this. Goodwill is the absolute core. It's the foundation. And I'm going to read, I said, everything that we share is straight from the Bible. I'm going to read in 1 Corinthians 13. I'm going to read these verses right here. Though I speak, this is 1 Corinthians 13:1. Though I speak with the tongues of men and of angels and have not love, I am become a sounding brass or a tinkling cymbal. Though I have the gift of prophecy and understand all mysteries. So if you could speak anything, if you knew everything, but you didn't have love, you're nothing. though I have the gift of prophecy and understand all mysteries and have all knowledge, and though I have all faith so that I could remove mountains and have not love, I am nothing. So it's all knowledge, all faith. Though I bestow all my goods to feed the poor, though I give my body to be burned and have not love, it profiteth me nothing. So of all my works, I can serve my spouse. I talk to couples all the time, and they say, oh, I did this for my spouse, and I did this for my spouse, and I did this for my spouse. If they don't feel your goodwill, it's not that it's worthless, but it's not making the intended effect because they feel your state. Your emotional state is what is transferred, what comes across. Okay. So the first thing we're going to look at is the desire for the very best for my spouse. And we talked about, if I don't have that, I'm nothing. It doesn't matter. There was one of my business mentors, her name's Ellen Rohr, beautiful, amazing individual, amazing woman. She tells a story about when she graduated from college, she had a business degree, and she was helping her husband run their plumbing business, and they promptly ran it into the ground. They pretty much almost went out of business, and they were fighting, and their marriage was the pits, and everything was horrible. And they said, you know what, we can't work together. And that's okay. They decided that was okay. And you know what, she admitted, I watched a video the other day, and she said, you know what, honestly, I hoped he'd fail. She said, isn't that awful? And she went like that. Isn't that awful? She wanted him to fail because she wasn't helping him. That's the foundation right there, is that you want the very best for your spouse. The very best. We need to commit to meet our spouse's needs to the best of our ability, regardless of the cost. And I'm just going to say this, you guys, we're all going to pay. All of us, we're all going to pay. Discipline weighs ounces, regret weighs pounds. So my wife could say to me, honey, could you help me do the dishes? Could you help me whatever? And I can decide, I'm going to sit in my chair. I don't want to go help you. I'm going to pay. Later, I'm going to say, honey, could you help me with this? And she's going to say, I don't know, I'm not so sure. And it's not that obvious, okay? It's like people run on their feelings that are subconscious, okay? But that's exactly how it works. If we live in such a way that we're meeting our spouse's needs, how can I help you? How can I serve you? That opens the door for them to respond to us. And it's not an exact guaranteed. I've had a number of people say, Matt, you can't control anybody else. You can't control your spouse. The only person you can control is you. However, I have it on the authority of the Word of God that whatever we put out, we're going to receive back. So when we give love, when we meet our spouse's needs, it frees them up to meet us. And it's so, so powerful. Become, and I like the Zig Ziglar definition here. It says, adding value is becoming an asset to them before you expect them to be an asset to you. And just think about that. And I have on here, you can have everything in marriage you want if you'll just help your spouse get what it is that they want. And just think about, as you go through life, what could my wife use today? What could my husband use today? How could I meet their needs? I was talking to somebody the other day in the Verizon store, and we were sitting there talking, and they're like, well, what, they knew a couple, and he didn't say if it was his parents or whatever, but they struggled, and I said, you know what they could do? And I asked, which party am I talking to? The person, because one person feels like they're always giving, and the other person isn't giving as much. And I said, which person are we talking to? The one who's always giving. I said, well, you know what you could do? You could think, okay, what's one thing I could do this week that would be really special? I heard a story the other day. Gary Thomas was sharing a story that he had in counseling, and they're, husband and wife are going back and forth, and she was so mad at this guy, he'd come home every day and he'd go work in the garage. Come home every day, go work in the garage. She was so mad she could have just ripped his hair out. And Gary Thomas said, you know what? What's his love language? And she said, I don't know what a love language is. He said, why don't you do something nice for him? And she's like, why would I do something nice for him? He always comes and then he leaves. What is his problem? And he said, no, I want you to do something nice for him. What is something that he would enjoy? I don't remember what it was. She thought it up. He said, I want you to do it for him. One time this week. She did it. They went back. Well, what are you going to do next week? I want you to do something for him. After a while, a couple weeks, he's like, why are you doing this? Because I love you. And he's like waiting for her to ask for something. She never asked for anything. It wasn't, if we give to get, the only reason we're helping our spouse is because they're going to help us back, it won't work. We have to give freely. I want to love you. I want to serve you because you're mine. Pretty soon he's like, what can I do for you? She won his heart. And there's power. We're going to talk about the power of redemptive love. It's amazing. So the next thing we're going to talk about is treasuring our spouse. So often, when I coach couples, I'm a coach. When I coach couples, one of the spouses, a lot of times it's both of them, one of the spouses is not happy with the other one. And it says on there to like goodwill, because I like the word love, okay, but I love pizza. I love my wife. I love motorcycles. it doesn't mean anything because we use that word so much. In the Greek, they're more specific. It says agape love. It's intentional love. I'm going to love you. I'm going to serve you. So I like the word like. And it says on there, I think, somewhere about having an affinity and an appreciation for your spouse. Yeah. Yeah, that's good. Thank you, V. Yeah. Yeah. But the question is, do you like your spouse? And I talked to a gal the other day, and she was so mad at her husband she could spit. And I said, wow, yeah, he lies, he does all this stuff, he's a horrible piece of work and everything. And I said, well, you know what? Often when I talk to people like this, there's an underlying current that's going on. She's like, really? I said, yeah. Do you like your spouse? And she said, heck no. Do you love him? Yeah. Are you in love with him? Heck no. I said, you know what? He feels that. And she said, what do you mean? Every time you talk to him, what you're transmitting to him is that you don't like him. And she's like, really? I said, nothing changes until you change. When you change, everything changes. You know what she said to me? I already changed. I was like, I didn't say this. I was like, I don't want to know what you used to be like, sister. Oh my goodness. The thing is, we have to change how we come across. The other day I got a phone call. This guy got kicked out of the house. And it was a big deal. His wife kicked him out of the house. He was a total jerkwad. And we sat down at the picnic table at the park, me and him and another gentleman. And he poured out his story. And I said, you know what? I'm going to be honest with you. You're a jerk, and you need to change. Some of you guys weren't here at the very beginning. I'm going to share some things today that are they're going to step on your toes. And I don't mean to do that. I'm not trying to hurt you. But the truth sets us free. So, if I say something to the sisters and you're like, oh, ouch, you know what? The guys are coming up pretty shortly thereafter. So just, don't take it. I told this guy, you know what? You're a jerk. Your wife is throwing you out of the house because you mistreat her. I said, the way back for you, you can win your wife's heart. The way back for you is you have to change. You have to change who you are. You guys, this is simple, but it's not easy. And we have to treasure our spouse. Here in Matthew 6, verse 21, it says this. And my business mentor, one of my business mentors, Howard Partridge, he says, we value what we spend time on, we spend time on what we value. And if you look at your calendar, it will show you what you value. You may say, this is what I value. Your calendar is the truth. You say, I value this. You show me your checkbook and I'll show you what you value. That's what we say is just words. What we do is what we really believe. When I was younger, I said my wife's number one in my life. And if you looked at my calendar, you wouldn't have seen that. And I said, you know what, Lord, I'm sorry. And I went to my wife and I said, babe, can I snuggle with you every morning? And she said, yeah, I guess. If you really want to. Oh my goodness. So it says right here, where your treasure is Matthew 6:21. There will your heart be also. Where your treasure is, what you really value. I go into people's houses and they have, in the garage they'll have a fancy car. In the main part of their house they'll have a bronze. That's what they really value. You can see by how they portray the thing, how they take care of it. There was a guy that I worked for, he washed his car every single day. Yay for him, I'm not trying to be critical, but that's what he really valued. That's what was really important to him, was to wash his car every single day. And I should probably wash my car more often. It's, I'm not trying to pick on anybody, but that's what we value. And what we need to change towards our spouse is that feeling. People say communication is the key to marriage. Communication. If I'm mad at my spouse, if I'm mad at my wife, and I learned better and better and better how to portray that, all I'm going to do is drive her further and further away. The key to a good relationship, the foundation, is goodwill. I like you. I'm glad you're my wife. I'm glad you're my husband. I have an affinity for you. I have an appreciation for you. To value them, to cherish them. If you don't like your spouse, start here. And here's some practical things. Give thanks for your spouse. Whatever we focus on is what we see. What do you guys see? A dot. What else? Is that what everybody sees? What were you going to say?
A line.
A line. Okay. Does anybody else see anything else? The point is we see a dot because that's what I drew. That's what our eyes are drawn to. There's a whole big old piece of paper that's mostly white. If it was all white, I'd say a great big page of white paper. Whatever we focus on, we're going to see more of. And we look at little teeny nitpicky things in our spouse, it drives us crazy. True story. When we accept them, this is how God made my spouse. This is how she is. This is how he is. And it's not that you can't ask him to change, but when you focus on it, it can drive you crazy. Serious. So let's give thanks for him. Focus on the things that you like. And here's the thing right here. We heal when we let God's love flow through us. Every single day, God is giving us love. A whole new download of love comes from God every single day. And I heal when I say, I want God to bless that person over there. When I let that flow through me, it heals me. The Lord said, if you have somebody who's persecuting you, pray for blessing on them. You pray for blessing on them. It doesn't matter what they're doing. You pray for blessing, because then you're healed. And in our marriages, and we're going to talk about forgiveness here in just a second, we have hurts. There is nobody in this room that doesn't have hurts and pains. Nobody. Not me, not anybody that's in here. We're all hurt. We're all wounded. We're all broken. God gives us life to help us heal, so that his love and his grace and his mercy flows into our life and flows through into other people's lives. And it's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful when we allow that to happen. And I just talked about there's no perfect husbands, there's no perfect wives, but we can be perfectly imperfect together. And there's many stories about couples that are, oddballs or whatever, and they connect. We don't have to be the same. If you go to, eharmony.com, what you're supposed to do is you select these 13 characteristics or whatever, I'm just making this up. And then if you have the same thing that they have, then you're going to be soulmates. It doesn't work that way. Because that's not how marriage works. That's not how any relationship works. It's not about similarities. What it's about is it's about goodwill. And I don't know what I put it's about believing the very best in your spouse and wanting the very best for them and committing to meet their needs regardless of the cost. I'm here for you. I want to be a blessing. I want to bless you. So we're going to accept them. And I brought a watering can. Mary made some flowers for me. Here's my watering can. And I get to determine what I put in my watering can. Nobody else. This is my watering can. Nobody else can put anything in my watering can but me. You can see what I water, what's in my watering can, by looking where I water. Do you guys believe that? In the front of my house, I have a flower bed. And I try and kill it. I put salt on it, and I've burned it, and I've done all this stuff. And it still grows a little bit. Do you guys know why? What would keep grass growing even though I'm trying to kill it? What? God, that's true. Every night it gets watered by fresh living water. in our watering can, you can put love, you can put grace, you can put forgiveness. And you're going to put that on your spouse, and this is what it's going to look like over time. Or you can put bitterness. Doggone him. Doggone her. I can't believe they did that to me. And you can pour that on your spouse, and pretty soon they're going to look like this. True story. My main job, guys, your main job is to get your family through this world safely. One of the keys to doing that is meeting your wife's 6 emotional needs. Guy or gals, your job is to help your husband, to support him. Okay, so we're going to talk about, we all, every single one of us have 6 needs. We've got certainty and variety. And these are actually opposites of each other, these first 4. Sorry, I'm standing in front of the board. So, we have certainty and variety, and it's like a balance beam, okay? If you have a lot of certainty, then you don't have very much variety. All of life wants to have homeostasis. Our brains, our bodies, everything wants to be in balance. If we have a lot of certainty, some people need more certainty than others. That's not wrong, that's not bad. Good morning, welcome, welcome. That's not bad. Your job, my job, is to meet my wife's needs. It's to get her through safely. In the process of that, it's to meet her needs. Okay? So some certainty is knowing what's going to happen. We have to have certainty. If we were afraid right now that somebody was going to break through that door and shoot us, you couldn't learn. You would be worried about who was coming through the door. If you were worried, good morning, if you were worried about the building falling down, you couldn't concentrate. You have to have certainty. If everything is certain, you are bored to tears. It's just like this balance beam. It's no fun. Nothing ever happens. It's Monday, and this is going to happen, and this is going to happen, and this is going to happen, and life is just totally a drag. So we need some variety. We need some uncertainty. We need things to be different. So, and often God will put opposites together in a marriage. You guys know opposites attract. Well, sometimes God gives your marriage a gift, and He puts it in your spouse. Have you guys ever thought of that? That isn't bad. Don't try and drive that away because you need it. That's why God gave it to you. That's why He put it in your relationship, in your spouse. So my job is to meet my wife's need for certainty. So I need to say, okay, hon, this is what's going on. This is what we're thinking. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Mary. And she's a more certain person. She needs a lot more certainty than me. We all need certainty to varying degrees. We all need variety or uncertainty to varying degrees. I like things to be different. So I need that. So she has to grow, and she's like, okay, how can I help him get some variety? We can go meet some other people. Because there's 4 main personality types, which I really don't have time to go in. Dominant, influencing, supportive, and cautious. And it's okay that we're different. It's okay. It's not bad. We can do this journey together. The other ones are, these 4 have to be met. These are like, have to be met. Significance and love and connection. I need to be significant. I'm going to find a way to be significant to survive. God made me that way. That's not pride. That's not ego. That's not anything. God made us that way. Men and women. We need significance. Ladies, let me just tell you this. Your husband is going to get this met in your relationship, or he's going to get it met somewhere else. Period. End of statement. Your husband is going to get significance. Now I'm going to flip the tables. Guys, your wife needs significance. She's not a prima donna. It's not about pride. It's not about ego. She needs to feel significant. She will get significance from you in your marriage or from somewhere else. Period. It's a need. It's just like breathing. It's just like eating. And we can meet that need. We can say, okay, I can step up and do that. We can meet that. I'm committed to meet that according to my ability. And the other thing is love and connection. A lot of people are trying to fill this need now with animals. I don't know if you guys have noticed that you guys have seen that. In the last how many of years, everybody has a little puppy dog. They take it to the store with them. And I'm not trying to be critical, whatever, if that's what they want to do, that's fine. That isn't the depth that God has for us. And a lot of times, we take second best when God wants to give us the best. And it's really not that far away. It really isn't. The Lord wants amazing stuff for us. So this significance and love and connection is a balance beam. I know some people that they really have a high need for significance. It's really hard for someone, when you're all about you, it's really hard for someone to get close to you. It's really hard for someone to connect with you because it's all about you. So we need to kind of balance that. Hey, how can I reach out to my spouse? How can I connect with them? The next two are growth and contribution. These are spiritual needs. Everything needs to grow. This is a spiritual law. This is a physical law in our universe. Things are either growing or they're dying. They're growing or they're dying. And I'm not saying that you have to, expand your business or something like that. But we all have to grow. We all have to learn new things. We all have to have new experiences. God made it that way. And the highest thing is to contribute to something. Every single one of us wants to have our lives mean something. To have our lives be more than just about me. The most miserable people in the whole world are billionaires who live completely for themselves. Nobody else matters. They have all the significance. I'm me, to heck with you. No one can get close to them. They get married, they get divorced. They get married, they get divorced. No one can get close to them. Why would you want to be married to that person? Their money looks attractive. Wow, that's a cool person. They're not attractive. It's all about them. When we focus on this, how can I grow? How can I help my spouse grow? How can I contribute to their life? There is so much joy. Jesus said, it is more blessed to give than receive. There is so much joy when we serve other people. How can I be a blessing to my wife? Sisters, how can you be a blessing to your husband? It's a beautiful thing. It feels so good when we exercise that. Before marriage, opposites attract. After marriages, opposites attack. We talked about just a second ago how God's put something in your marriage. And our logo, I don't even have a picture of our logo. Our logo is actually a heart that's two puzzle pieces. Hopefully you guys saw that. And when I told them what I wanted, I said, look, this is what I want, two puzzle pieces that make a heart. We need different things in our marriage. You don't have it all or you wouldn't need to be married. It's just that simple. In the Garden of Eden, God looked at Adam and he said, this guy is not enough all by himself. He needs help. One of my former employees, he told me, Matt, you married up, way up. And I was like, yes, that's very true. Very true. I'm very thankful. The thing is, we need to make sure that we value what our spouse has. So, for example, we talked about certainty and variety. So before I get married, I look and I'm like, oh my goodness, that's so cool. This is not true in my house, but I'm just using that as an example. This is so cool. All the shoes are all lined up. That's so amazing. Because I'm not like that. So somebody would say that. And then they get married, and the shoes are all lined up. And the spouse says, hey, honey, take your shoes off and put them in this line. What in the world? It's the same. Your spouse hasn't changed. You changed. They still put their shoes in a line just like that, just like before. People don't change as much as we think we do. People don't change as much as we change. So value that. Accept that. This is how God made my spouse. I can use that. When I first got married, this is what I thought. I thought, wow, we're going to get up early every morning, and we're going to read the Bible together and pray together, and then we're going to go out in the day. You know what, you guys? My wife is not a morning person. I've been married to her for 27 years, and she's still not a morning person. And I think I'll probably be married to her for another 50 years, 70 years, 50 years, and she's still not going to be a morning person. And that's okay. We were married for a little while, and I was like, hey, honey, can you get up and come read with me? And no. babe, no. And you're laughing. No, it's not. I'm not up yet. I don't want to talk to you. Go read. I'll talk to you later. And that's okay. Sometimes before we get married, it's not shoes all lined up. Our spouse is really spontaneous. Like me. Let's go do something. Let's go have fun. This will be great. This is a need for variety. And my wife says, okay, that's fine. And she says, wow, it's really exciting. I'm not going to have a dull, boring life, because she's really certain. And so let's have some variety in life. And then we get married and she's like, why do you always want to do something? That's okay. Do you guys see that? That's okay. When you envelop, you accept your spouse. I love you. I accept you. I'm so glad that you're here. I'm so glad that you're mine. They didn't change as much as our view of them did. Okay, so there's 3 levels of love. There's 3 levels of love. And I'm using this loosely. 3 levels of love. Is this all making sense? Are we doing good? Okay, so there's 3 levels of love. There's 0%, there's 50-50, and there's 100%. How many of us, given the chance, would just take from our spouse? And don't raise your hand. Oh, sorry. I'm sorry. No, that was a rhetorical question. I'm sorry, Jasmine. This level right here is where I just take what I want. I'd like dinner. I'd like you to make love to me. I'd like do my laundry. I'd like clean the house. The problem is, if you don't replenish your spouse, they run dry. You cannot be permanently happy at someone else's expense. If you don't take your water can and put blessing in your water can and spray it on your spouse, water your spouse, they won't look like that. In all reality, you will get less from your spouse than if you watered them. Because God is fair. You can't be permanently happy at someone else's expense. It's not possible. They asked, one time Zig Ziglar was talking, and he talked about you have to be before you can do. You have to do before you can have. You got to be the right person. You got to be loving. We talked about that. You have to change how you view your spouse, how you feel towards your spouse, how you feel about your spouse. What they feel from you is how you feel about them. And these guys were talking to Ziglar about it. And they said, isn't there a faster way to success than being the right person and doing the right thing? That seems like it takes too long. You know what he said? There is no other way to be permanently successful. You can't have this without meeting your spouse's needs. It doesn't happen. Success comes on the installment plan, and a new payment is required every single day. Every single day. The only way to coast is downhill. And we can go along and we can be doing great, and we can just be like, oh, wow, this marriage is going great, and we just quit investing, and you know what? It's going to start drying up. And that's when we need to say, hey, I need to put some love in here, get back to watering. This is what everybody talks about today, right here, is a 50-50. It sounds so fair. Doesn't that sound fair? 50-50. You know, this will be even. This will be fair. This is a train wreck. This is a race to the bottom, because we're all human. And I'll give you an example. I come home and I'm grumpy. And my wife says, oh, whatever. I'm not going to be nice to you. So I say, you're mad at me. I can't believe this. What's your problem? And then I want something and she says, no possible way. It happens because we're always, when we withhold love, right here, when we withhold love, they're going to withhold love because we withheld love. So the way to break this cycle, Emerson Eggerichs has a cycle, the love and respect cycle. Woo! And without love, she reacts without respect. Without respect, he reacts without love. And it goes around and around. He calls it the crazy cycle. The way to break that is to understand that my response is my responsibility. This does not work. It doesn't work. It can't work because we're all human. We all make mistakes. I made a mistake, and my wife treats me according to my mistake. I treat her according to how she just treated me. She treats me, and it just goes back and forth and back and forth and back and forth until you have nothing. Both of you have this right here. And in order to step out of that, you have to say, you know what? No matter what she did, no matter what he did, I'm going to put love in my watering can, and I'm going to water them. And it's for our own blessing. We're going to get the fruit of it. The last one's 100%, and this is crazy love. And you know what, honestly, guys, this takes courage. It's scary to love with abandon. I'm going to love my wife no matter what. It's scary. And it hurts. Love hurts sometimes. It's amazing. It's not like I'm saying it's horrible or anything. I love my wife. I'm a very blessed man. This is where you say, you know what, I'm going to meet your needs regardless of the cost. I'm in 100%. If you need something, I'm going to get it for you to the best of my ability. I'm here for you. And that is when you're just watering and watering and watering and watering and watering, and you're growing a beautiful marriage. So the next thing we're going to talk about is forgiveness. Sorry, I got my water right here. So we just talked about what happens when I come home and I'm mad. It goes back and forth and back and forth, and pretty soon you got nothing. So this is huge. Right here. And there's a verse I'm going to read. In James 3, we are all human, every single one of us. And it says this right here. For in many things we all often offend. Forgiveness is a choice. Now, I'll bet if I ask you to raise your hand, I'll bet every single person in here has been offended by your spouse. Is that true? Every single person. We're all human. We all do it. It happens to us and to our spouse. What forgiveness is letting it go. And if you're going to have a successful relationship long term, this is one of the keys. And I'm going to say this. I'll say a lot of things today about this is usually true for women. This is usually true for men. I'm not picking on anybody. No judgment, only love. This is usually what I've found and what other people have found. This is usually more true for men than women. It doesn't mean that men never struggle with forgiveness, because we do. But here's the thing. Women actually feel things more deeply. They're more emotional. That's not a defect, guys. God made them that way. Anything pushed too far becomes a liability, for sure. That's true for us being stoic, and that's true for women feeling their emotions. Those emotions, if they're not kept under, can become, oh wow, that hurt. And we take our thoughts and we think about it over and over and over and over, and it becomes bitterness. And that's, like I said, that's more true, in my experience, that's more true of women than men, because they feel more deeply, they're more tender. And guys, what our job is to do is to be more gentle at the beginning. So if we're kinder, hint, 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 and I'm saying this to myself too, there's less offense given, so there's less need for forgiveness. So that helps the whole relationship in the whole process. So when there's been a transgression, I'll just use that word, it's like this right here. Let's imagine that, if you guys will, everybody close your eyes. So imagine you're in a cell, and you look to the left, and you see a wall of bars. There's nobody else in the jail but you. You're all alone. You see bars on the left. You look in front of you, and there's a wall with a window with bars. You look to the right, and there's bars. You're in this prison. You're in this cell. And you kind of look around, and you look around, and you turn all the way around, and you see there's bars with a door, and the door is open. And you're in a prison, and you can walk out of there anytime you want. You guys can open your eyes. That's what, when we're not forgiving, that's what we're in. Anytime you want, you can walk out of there. Anytime, right now, you can say, you know what? That's not going to control me anymore. You can leave it right now today in this room. That's not going to control me. That's not going to run my life. Now here's the thing. Often if you have a deep wound and you've carried it for a long time, it becomes part of who you are. To let go of it, you have to change your identity. And that sounds really goofy, but it's true. I worked with a gal, I was coaching a gal, and she'd actually had trouble as a child. She'd been molested. And it carried who we are and the pain in our lives, we carry through our lives, okay? So it comes into her marriage, and she has a hard time being feminine because she was hurt as a child. I mean, I totally get that. And we're going to talk about masculine and feminine. We're going to talk about polarity a little bit later. And I said to her, can that guy hurt you? And she said, no. And I said, what are you afraid of? I guess I'm not really afraid of anything. I said, what's holding you? The pain. I said, would you like to let go of it? She said, yeah, I would. I said, I want you to go over there and hold that doorknob. So she went over and held the doorknob. And I said, when you're ready to let go, you let go of the doorknob and walk back over here. There was so much struggle in her soul to let go of that doorknob. You know what she said to me? She said, Matt, if I let go, who will I be? That pain was her identity. That is who she was. She said, who am I going to be? I said, who do you want to be? She thought about it for a while. She's still over by the door holding onto the doorknob. Who do you want to be? She said, you know, I have a picture in my room, and there's a picture of a lighthouse. I want to be that lighthouse. I said, let's go get that picture. So we went and got that picture. She said, that's who I am. I'm a lighthouse. I said, anytime you want, you can let go of that doorknob. And she let go of that doorknob, and she came and sat by us. Her husband was right there, and my wife was right there. And she said, wow. Because she let go. She let go. To forgive is to say, you know what? I'm not going to let this control me anymore. I'm going to walk away. I'm going to do something different. And we feel, I'm right there with you. I've had trouble with forgiveness. We feel like I'm going to hold on to this so it doesn't hurt me. And I have hot coals, but I'm going to hold on to them so they don't hurt me. And the whole time we're being burnt. We need to let it go. That's what forgiveness is just let it go. It doesn't mean it didn't hurt. It doesn't mean it wasn't wrong. It doesn't mean, it means you're going to go on. I'm not going to let that control me. I'm going to let go. And that's when healing comes in. And in a relationship, it's this simple right here. It's sitting in a car and saying, when you said that, for all those years, this is how I felt. Wow, I'm really sorry. Will you please forgive me? Yeah, I'll forgive you. When you were mad at me all those years for when I said that, that really hurt me. Are you sorry? Yeah, will you forgive me? Just like that. And it's so healing. And it's so powerful when we'll just let go. God wants so much more for us than we even want for ourselves. It's amazing. When you forgive, the person you really free is yourself. When you forgive, you accept responsibility for your life. And then you can move on. And because of time, I was going to read something in Genesis 50 about Joseph. Joseph was a young man. He was 17 years old. And he was sold as a slave. His brothers ripped his coat off of him, threw him in a pit, sold him as a slave. And for 13 years, he languished in prison. And sometimes he had a nice job. Most of the time, he was struggling. 13 years later, his brethren come before him. It might be 13 or 14, because it might have been 13 years later, he came to power. His brethren come before him, and they're worried because now he can get them back. Does Joseph get them back? Oh no. He says, you know what? What you meant for evil, God meant for good. When we try and get people back, we're in this horrible cycle we can never heal. I've just been reading this book about this man who is a pilot. The title of the book is named Unbroken. And this guy was shot down. He was a naval aviator, and he was in prison for like 2.5 years by the Japanese, and they beat the goodness out of him. They starved him. They tortured him. His only purpose for being alive was to go back to Japan and kill that guy that tormented him. And you know what? He was an alcoholic. He was horrible. You can't be happy trying to hurt somebody else. And he went to a Billy Graham crusade, and he got saved. And he went home and he poured all the booze down the drain. Never needed it again. Because he was free. That's what God wants us to be, is free. Let that love, every day He's giving us love. Let that love flow through you to your spouse. Let that love flow through you to everyone in your life. It expands you. It heals you. It strengthens you. So the last thing we're going to talk about here is ultimately, at the end of the day, what's going on in our relationship, all this about goodwill, all these things, it's about me. And I got to be careful how I say this, because I don't want it to be, my marriage is all about me. My part, my responsibility in my marriage is me. It's not so many people, and I've said this for years, if my wife would just, if I've heard this so many times, if my husband would just, if I had $1 for every time, oh my goodness. It's my responsibility. My response is my responsibility. We talked about that cycle of 50-50. You don't take out the trash. Well, if you're not going to take out the trash, I'm not going to help you with the dishes. Well, if you're not going to help me with the dishes, I'm not going to help you make breakfast. Nobody's happy. Just stop it. Just break the cycle. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put love in here, and I'm going to go, and I'm going to leave it with the Lord. It's my response is my responsibility. When I accept that, it empowers me. We were talking earlier about how when I choose, I got called in yesterday. I was supposed to have the whole day to get ready for this, and I have a service company, and we overbooked, and it's good. Trials keep us humble and dependent, which we need. And I was driving down the road, and I started to think, this is crummy. Why do I have to do this? And I said, no, this is my choice. I chose this. I'm accepting responsibility for it. It's my deal. It's my choice. All that garbage goes out the window because that's what I choose. In your relationship, you guys all got married. That was your choice. I don't know anybody in here, well, maybe I should ask. Does anybody in here have an arranged marriage? No. Well, in some countries they do, and you don't have a choice. What I'm familiar with, we chose. Look, we chose. When you step up and you say, I chose you. I'm going to make it better. Instead of saying, I wish you were different. I wish this was different. I wish that. If, forget all that. Say, this is what I'm going to do. This is how I'm going to act. This is how I'm going to behave. So we're going to talk about a small diagram. Okay, so there's 5 things in order to help us be in the state where we have goodwill towards our spouse. The number 1 thing is right here. Whoops. Sorry, the arrow went the wrong way. It's to feel our feelings. I don't know how many people who are not honest with themselves. I feel hurt. My wife said this. I feel hurt. I feel disrespected. I feel love. I feel honor. Usually when we're talking about this, it's negative. It's okay. Whatever your feelings are not wrong. They're not right or wrong. We don't run our lives by them, because I could feel ticked off or something. I don't go and slap people. But I need to feel that. I need to feel the feeling and be okay. Let that be okay. We're going to talk later about, guys, you need to let your wives feel all their feelings. And let that be okay. Women express their feelings. They're a lot more out on the outside. And that's how they work through what's going on. Most wives, not every wife is like that. We need to be in such a way that it's okay, that it's safe for them to feel all their feelings. So feel your feelings and then focus, what do you want? So if you're somewhere in your relationship and you feel, man, this is rotten. If you focus on the rottenness, you can get depressed. Because you give yourself the right to feel. I was talking to a lady the other day, and they have a Bible study in Dayton, and they have 3 older women and all these younger women. And she said, I'm really afraid that the older women just like, oh, the two other older women, oh, that's so hard, and just empathize with them, which is good. But if you focus on that, man, that's a rough deal. After a while, you're like, yeah, this is really rough. What do you want? When I coach people, that's what I ask them over and over and over and over and over. What do you want? We move in the direction we're pointed. What do you want? And then the next thing is your heart. And this right here is the most important thing. The most important thing is the story we tell ourselves. If your husband is late, you can tell yourself, what a jerk. I can't believe he did this again. He was late last week. Or you can say, what a hardworking guy. That story you just said right there is whether you're happily married or not. True story. That story. The story you tell yourself is so important. When we have empathy for the other person, when we give them grace, wow, he didn't mean to do that. When someone feels, when something happens, like let's just say we're in this room and I come and I go and I thwap each one of you on the shoulder, and it's like, hi, you're here, whatever. It's good seeing you. If you're mad at me, how do you receive that?
Almost like a punch.
Yeah, like a punch. It's not what I did, it's what you were already thinking. It was a story you were already telling yourself. Somebody bumps into you you're in the line or something at the airport. Somebody bumps into you. Oh, excuse me. Yeah, no worries. No. But if the person goes there and they go, oh, what was that all about? Yeah, you're in my way. We tell ourselves a story. We're going to talk about that in communication. We tell ourselves a story. We can change that story. We're 100% in control of our thoughts and our actions. The next one is our stomach. I'll just draw a circle there. What are our resources? Just like food energizes our body, what can I do? What can I pull out? What do I want my vision to be? How can I find people to help me? What are my resources? Because we're not helpless. None of us is helpless. We all have capacities and help. We can pray. And then the last thing is, what am I going to do? This is so powerful. I wake up in the morning, let's say my wife and I, it doesn't have to, I don't want it to be about me. A husband and a wife, they had a fight the night before. And he wakes up and he goes and he prays. Good for him. And he says, you know what, today I'm going to love my wife. I'm going to show up in love. Because I love her. We had a hard time yesterday. I'm going to water her. That's what I'm going to do. It doesn't matter. I mean, it does matter. It doesn't really matter so much how she wakes up. Because he decided this is what my choice is today. Most people are completely reactive. If you introduce yourself and you say, you look horrible, what are you going to say back to him? So do you. So do you. I don't know about all you guys in here. Most people, are we out of time? Oh my goodness, thank you very much, guys. Most people, it's just as simple. There's no interaction, no intermission between action, reaction, action, reaction. It's so easy to change your spouse. Most everybody. Because you're going to do this and they're going to do that. You're going to be nice to them, they're going to be nice to you. Just like that. Boom, 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 boom. And it's just a matter of watering. It's just about giving love. Because we have goodwill. We want the very best for our spouse. And it changes everything. It's so powerful. People say, oh my goodness, you don't know my spouse. Tell me your story. When the story's over, what do you want? How can you get there? What would it be like if this week you did something special for your spouse? Well, I don't know. Why don't you try it? Okay. There's all these stories about couples who come to like a weekend to remember something. They come in separate cars. They're mad at each other, everything. They leave in each other's arms. And they never leave being in each other's arms again because they have goodwill. They change this story. They change what's going on.